After the miscarriage, I systematically erased every habit that Giles used to find irritating. I stopped asking where he was going. When he stayed out all night, I no longer paced the floor. I simply turned off the bedside lamp and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. Even when I was injured during a training maneuver and the medic told me to call my family, I just looked at the sterile white ceiling and said, "I don't have any next of kin." The nurse recognized me. "You're Mrs. Marshall, aren't you? General Marshall is just in the next sector over. Should I send word to him?" I shook my head slowly. No, there's no need. But 30 minutes later, Giles Marshall appeared anyway. He stood in the doorway, his uniform sharp, his presence commanding and cold. "You're hurt. Why wasn't I the first person you called?" I kept my eyes down. "It's a scratch, Giles. Not worth bothering the commanding general over." That dismissive tone, the sheer lack of weight in my voice, made him visibly bristle. Before he could snap back, voices drifted in from the hallway. 2 guards were gossiping, unaware of who was listening. "The general really has a soft spot for that girl Maya from the USO troop. She twisted her ankle during the performance, and he practically commandeered a Blackhawk just to get her back. Carried her onto the bird himself. Didn't let her feet touch the tarmac once." I saw Giles's chest tighten. His eyes flickered toward me, searching for the explosion, the accusations, the familiar fire of my jealousy. But my lashes didn't even quiver. I just leaned back against the thin hospital mattress and closed my eyes, letting the silence settle between us. It wasn't until we were in his military jeep that he finally spoke, his voice a low growl of defense. "Don't listen to the gossip. It was professional. Maya was invited here to perform for the troops. She got hurt on my watch. It was my responsibility to handle it." "Okay," I said softly. I didn't add anything else. Giles's temper flared suddenly. "You don't believe me? Is this still about that? God, Cassie, I've come back to you. I'm here. What more do you want?" I stared out the window at the passing barracks, my profile a blank slate. "I believe you," I said. "I just didn't think I was an emergency. I didn't want to interrupt your work. Let's just go back to the quarters." The same scripted response. Autopilot. Giles slammed his fist against the steering wheel. The horn blared, a sharp, ugly sound that cut through the winter air, startling a group of performers who were just finishing their set across the road. One girl looked up. As the moonlight hit her face, the air inside the jeep turned to ice. "Maya, what is she still doing out here?" Giles muttered. He glanced at me instinctively. In the past, every time I saw her, I'd lose my mind. I'd scream, I'd cry, I'd demand to know why she was wearing a coat that looked like mine. But now, I just gave her a fleeting glance and looked away. Nothing. Giles gripped the wheel, but his eyes were glued to the rearview mirror. It was a brutal December night. The girl was shivering in a thin stage costume, her arms wrapped tight around herself, her nose red from the cold. His hand was already on the door handle. The concern was practically leaking out of him. I understood the script perfectly. I opened my door and stepped out, giving him the exit he was dying for. "If you need to do a final sweep of the camp, I can walk back. It's not far." I didn't wait for an answer. I turned toward the intersection. Giles jumped out and caught my wrist. "It's over between us, Cassie. I didn't know she was here. Why won't you trust me?" I nodded. "I do trust you, Giles. She's a young girl in a tough spot. Even if it's over, it's normal to care." "I get it." He stared at my face. There was no bitterness there, no hidden edge. That was what terrified him. I used to have an insatiable hunger for his attention. If I found a single long hair on his uniform, I'd interrogate him until dawn. Now, I was exactly what he'd always begged me to be. Reasonable, quiet, undemanding. But it felt like he was breathing through wet cotton. I pulled my hand back and walked away. At the corner, I stopped and looked back. Beside the jeep, Giles had already draped his heavy coat over Maya's shoulders. He was cupping her face in his hands, leaning down to kiss her with a desperation that looked like pain. I wasn't surprised. I should have seen it coming. I certainly wasn't going to be the woman I was the first time I caught him. The crazy wife screaming, "Giles, have you no shame? I've been with you since I was 18. We had nothing, and now you tell me you love someone else?" Back then, he had looked at the blood on his lip where I'd struck him and sneered, "Shame? You want to talk about shame? You were sleeping with me at 18. Your own parents didn't